Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are, what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. So, I wanted to talk about relationships and leading, right? Um, a lot of people are of the school of thought that men or the male species came first, so therefore they should be in the lead. And based on the knowledge that I have, many societies were actually matriarchal. And it wasn't until all the different wars and the conquest that it changed to more patriarchy, um, due to feelings that stirred up within the men who were conquering certain societies, right? And so now we think that men are supposed to be in control, the men that are make better leaders, and we often leave the woman out, as was done in a certain text, but I will not go into that. In antiquity, though, there have always been queens, empresses, ladies, countesses, duchesses, chieftesses, um, whatever title you would like to give women who were in leadership. And so during those times, men and women led together. There were no what we call now gender roles. Um, yes, the man did protect and provide for the woman, um, but still there was no like finely fine lines or defined lines of what that actually looked like. And yes, women predominantly took care of the household, but women were also warriors, right? Some women did hunt. Some women went out to pick berries. And so they were also out in the wilderness. So if a wildebeest or something came up to them, they had to know how to defend themselves also, right? So they weren't just these docile, innocent little lambs that just sat around and waited for the men. No, they had to defend and protect the village if necessary as well. Just like lionesses, right? It's not just the male lion who protects the pride. Those women get together and they do some damage. They'll even eat him alive if they feel like he's become weak and they want another man to take over the pride, right? But I find it very ironic that some men want to lead, or they feel like they're supposed to lead and that this is their role, when oftentimes a lot of men don't know the difference between leading and controlling, right? And not only that, I hear a lot of men say they don't want to open the door, they don't want to take a woman out, they don't want to pay for dates. Um, they don't open doors. So basically, they don't want to protect and provide, right? Because taking a woman out on a date is a way of showing her that you can provide. At a certain point in time, we had arranged marriages. So you would have to prove to that woman's family that you can provide for her. Now women choose for themselves. And so you have to show that woman directly, except in Islam and within the Jehovah Witness community, they still have group dating. And the woman is not supposed to go out with a man by herself. He is still supposed to prove to the family or the other members of the kingdom hall that he can provide for her and that he has good intentions for her. Right? So nowadays, women are choosing, and a lot of times women choose based on emotion, right? Or because they want someone to like them, or they want validation. And I'm not saying all women choose that way, but a lot do. They just want to have somebody to check it off their list. They just want somebody just to say that they have somebody, no matter how he shows up. He could just sit home all day and play video games. But as long as she can tell her friends and family she has a man, some women are just fine with that, right? So it's funny how a lot of men, go around beating their chests and saying, "Oh, women don't know how to be submissive and they want to be in lead." or that they're supposed to be in the lead, yet they don't want to protect or provide for her, right? Part of protecting her is opening the door. Make sure that nothing happens to her, you know, and that she's in the car safely, and then you get in the car, right? It's not, you know, oh, she just want it done just to have it done. That's supposed to be his role in protecting her, right? You want her to cook or clean up and suck your penis, but you can't open the door and make sure she gets in it safe. It's not just walking on the outside, near the sidewalk, right? Protecting her looks like many different things. Protecting her means going to the car wash or going to the mechanic to make sure that a bunch of men don't try to, hit on her. Providing also looks like taking the son to the barbershop so that, again, all these men are not ogling over her and, catcalling and, lusting, right? This is protecting. These are some forms of protection. Again, providing, taking a woman out on a date is showing her that you can provide. Now, if you just all over the place dating a bunch of women and you're not trying to be serious about one woman, yeah, that might get expensive, right? Because you're not looking to settle down, or you're not vetting these women by talking to them and getting to know them. You just say, oh, she got a fat this and a big that. I'm just going to take her out because I want to screw her, right? This is not how we pick a wife, right? This is not how we commit to a person that we want to spend the rest of our lives with, right? And if you don't want that, that's fine, right? You don't have to have that. But, complaining that it's expensive to take women out, if you don't want a relationship, then don't have a relationship. Just deal with those women who are okay with showing up at your house and, chilling and doing whatever else y'all want to do, right? You're grown, you can make those decisions. But if you want a good relationship, there are certain things that needs to be done, right? But back to my talk about leadership, right? Again, there were always queens, empresses, countesses, and these women were in leadership, right? And so not all women are just emotional and can't make decisions. Some women make very good decisions. There are women who make better decisions than some men. And so this is why some women are not settling, because if she can make better decisions than the man in her life, why does she need that man in her life? That's not to say that we're not supposed to be in relationships, because really we're not supposed to be alone, right? We're actually meant to be to have communities or villages. So it's not even just about having a man or a woman. It's actually supposed to be a community. And this is one of the things that we don't seem to understand. The saying, it takes a village, doesn't just apply to raising children, right? We are supposed to live like lions, right? Not necessarily with one man with multiple women. I'm not talking about that aspect of it. I'm talking about having a pride, having a kingdom, having a community, right? We should also be able to feel safe. So women who, again, make better decisions than men, when it comes to accepting a man in her life, she's not just going to accept a man just because he has a penis, right? Especially if she makes better decisions than he does. And for some women, if a man cheats, that does not make her feel safe. She does not feel protected. Because if he's out cheating and someone's breaking into the house, how is she protected? Right? If they're building a business, which they should be building together, if they're building something together and he again is out with another woman, something is going to lack within that business structure. Now, if you're wanting a polygamous relationship, then again, that's something that should be said upfront and honest in the beginning, and the two should agree and work towards it. And both should know whether or not they can handle it. And if one cannot handle it, they should not be afraid to speak up about it and say, I thought I could handle this, but I can't. Or I don't want to do that. You should not be afraid to lose someone because you changed your mind or because you don't want that type of lifestyle. Because just like that person came along, someone else can come along too, right? I think too many people are dishonest. They're not saying what they want. They're not being themselves. They don't even know how to. You know, people always talk about they're keeping it real and they're lying their behinds off, right? And so, again, for some women being cheated on, or even some men, again, how can you provide a solid foundation if you have your money going into another household because you want to screw somebody else? I just feel like if you want to screw somebody else, that's fine. You can do that. But you should be with someone who's okay with it and know that she'll either complain all the time, she'll be doing it too, or, certain things may lack because she doesn't feel like she's being protected. She doesn't feel like she's being provided for. Some women even feel like she's not wanted. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, my mother stayed, my grandmother stayed, my great grandmother stayed, while my grandfather cheated or my father cheated. But how did your mom feel? Did you see her cry? Did you see an example of a loving relationship? Can you honestly say that if your dad was stepping out on your mom, they had a loving relationship and you saw an example of a loving relationship? Or is your claim to fame just that she stayed and just dealt with the misery and dealt with the unhappiness? And then do you realize that it actually affected you because you didn't grow up in a household with two loving parents who, you know, showed each other affection and were always there for each other? Do you realize that your one of your or both, because sometimes it's the mom, do you realize that that parent was in some way, shape, or form emotionally absent and at times physically absent? And so that affects you mentally, and that you need to do some inner child healing, because although you may think you turned out okay, if you now in your adult life think that it's okay to cheat, you were affected by that. Cheating is deceptive, right? And so some men want to be leaders, yet they want to have one foot in and one foot out. And there are some women who are not going to tolerate that. Just because someone else in your family did it does not mean that the woman in your life is going to do it or the man in your life. Some men stay, some don't. Some women are, and some men are doing, magic and, you know, spiritually coercing people to stay. But yet again, it's out of selfishness because this is not a solid or stable or healthy relationship. So if a woman is good at something, then I think she should lead in those times. And if a man is better at something, then he should take the lead. But I think the lead changes hands. And I don't think just because a man has a penis that automatically means that he's supposed to lead. Because you may not have that type of woman. Because again, there were women who were leaders and rulers as well. And some of those women make good decisions. And if you feel that you can't handle it, then that's just not the type of woman for you. But some of those women would choose to not be in a relationship instead of dealing with a situation that is unfavorable for them, or be in a situation with someone who does not make good decisions because it seems very immature, irresponsible, and unaccountable. Love y'all. Later. Mwah.